Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you were the last person on Earth? A question that might seem far-fetched, but let's indulge our curiosity for a moment. Imagine a world void of human life, where you are the sole survivor. Intriguing, isn't it? You'd be the master of your universe, the final storyteller, the last human standing. The concept is a cocktail of emotions, a blend of fear, exhilaration, and a dash of loneliness. It's not all grim, though. Let's put a pin in the loneliness for a second and consider the freedom. You, the last person on Earth, would be free from societal rules, expectations, and the daily grind. You'd be free to do as you please, when you please, where you please. Your life would be a canvas, and you'd have the whole world's palette to paint it. But what about survival? We're creatures of comfort, used to a world where we can order pizza at the touch of a button or binge-watch our favorite series on demand. Suddenly, you're the farmer, the hunter, the gatherer. It's a return to the primitive, a throwback to our ancestors who first learned to harness fire and chisel tools from stone. It's survival of the fittest in its purest form. And then there's the silence. The deafening silence, broken only by the rustle of leaves, the ripple of water, and the occasional animal call. It's a stark contrast from the constant hum of human life we're used to. The traffic, the chatter, the buzz of technology. The silence could be a solace, a peaceful retreat, or it could be a chilling reminder of your solitude. So you see, being the last person on Earth is a paradox. It's loneliness and company, survival and freedom, tranquility and fear. It's a concept that can be as liberating as it is terrifying. It's a thought experiment that nudges us to appreciate the complexity of our existence and the intricate balance of our society. So imagine waking up one day and realizing that you are the only human left on this planet. In a world without humans, how would you survive? Imagine that for a moment. The streets are empty. The buzz of human activity is replaced by the rustling of leaves and the whistling of the wind. You're the last person standing, and survival is now your sole mission. Finding food and water becomes a challenge. Supermarket shelves might be stocked now, but without humans to replenish them, they'll soon be empty. You'll need to rely on your skills to hunt, fish, or gather what nature provides. Remember, in this new world, your dinner won't come in a takeaway box. Water, that life-giving elixir, won't flow from your kitchen tap forever. You'll have to find natural sources like rivers or lakes and understand how to purify it. It's not just about quenching your thirst, it's about staving off the dangers of dehydration and disease. Shelter, too, becomes a priority. Sure, you could live in any house you want, but without utilities, you'd need to think about warmth, protection from the elements, and safety. You might have to learn how to build a fire, fix a leaky roof, or even fortify your shelter against potential dangers. But it's not just physical survival we're talking about here. There's a psychological aspect to consider. Humans, as social creatures, thrive on interaction. The silence, the solitude, it can take a toll on your mental well-being. You'd have to find ways to keep your mind active, to stave off the loneliness and the fear. Maybe you turn to books, music, or even talking to yourself. Survival in a world without humans isn't just about the basic necessities of life. It's about adapting and evolving. It's about using your wits and resilience to overcome challenges. It's about understanding that being the last person on Earth isn't just a physical journey, but a mental one as well. Survival becomes a game of wits and resilience when you are the last person standing. What would the Earth look like without humans? Let's imagine for a moment that we've all vanished overnight. What happens to our planet? The immediate impact would be a sudden silence, a stillness never before experienced in our bustling cities and towns. As the days turn into weeks, signs of our once dominant presence begin to fade. Nature, resilient and patient, starts to reclaim its lost territories. Urban jungles, once filled with the hum of traffic and the hustle of humanity, would slowly transform into literal jungles as vegetation takes over. Seedlings would sprout through cracks in the concrete, while vines would creep up the sides of abandoned buildings, their sleek glass facades gradually swallowed by a verdant embrace. In the absence of human activity, wildlife would return. Deer would wander down what were once busy highways, while foxes would prowl through silent streets. Birds would nest in the hollows of deserted skyscrapers, their songs filling the air where once there was the cacophony of car horns and sirens. But it's not just the natural world that would change. Our man-made structures, bereft of maintenance, would start to crumble. Without the constant hum of air conditioning and heating systems, buildings would be at the mercy of the elements. Rain would seep into cracks, freeze, expand, and cause further damage. Over time, skyscrapers would succumb to the relentless cycle of decay, their steel structures rusting, their glass windows shattering, their once imposing forms reduced to skeletal remains. Meanwhile, our power plants, unattended, would shut down. Cities would plunge into darkness, the artificial glow of streetlights replaced by the soft luminescence of the moon and stars. Our digital world, dependent on a constant supply of electricity, would blink out, leaving only the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves as the soundtrack of a post-human world. And so, the Earth would continue on its celestial journey, unperturbed by our absence. The air would become cleaner, the waters clearer, and the forests denser. The scars we've left on the planet would gradually heal, and a new balance would be struck in the biosphere. The Earth, it seems, would reclaim its space, thriving in the absence of human interference. Being the last person on Earth comes with an unusual blend of fear and freedom. The stark reality of being the last of your kind can stir up a whirlwind of emotions, some of which are as vast and varied as the empty world around you. On one hand, there is an undeniable fear that lurks in the solitude of your existence. This fear isn't just about the survival or the eerie quiet that has replaced the familiar humdrum of human activity. It's a deeper, more profound fear, the fear of loneliness and the dread of death. Imagine waking up every morning to an empty world where the only footsteps are your own echoing back at you. The only voice you hear is your own, ricocheting off the empty buildings. The only laughter, the only tears, the only sighs are your own. There's no one to share your thoughts with, no one to share your triumphs or your failures. The world is your stage, but there's no audience to applaud or critique. It's just you, your thoughts, and the fear of that eternal solitude. On the other side of the coin, however, there is a strange sense of freedom, one that can be both liberating and disorienting. With no societal norms to adhere to, no rules to follow, you are free to do anything, go anywhere, be anyone. You could live in a palace or a hut, eat gourmet food or live off the land, walk naked or dress in the finest clothes. You are limited only by your own imagination and the boundaries of the physical world. You can follow your wildest dreams or your deepest desires, unhindered by societal expectations or restrictions. This is a freedom that few ever experience, a freedom that is both exhilarating and terrifying, for with great freedom comes great responsibility. The responsibility to survive, to make meaning out of your existence, to face the fear and embrace the freedom. In the end, the freedom might be exhilarating, but the fear could be overwhelming. At the heart of our existence is our need for connection. Imagine, if you will, the silence, the unending solitude, the absence of laughter, conversation, and shared experiences. The world as we know it is filled with connections, connections that shape us, that guide us, that define us. From the moment we are born, we are connected. We are part of a community, a family, a society. Now imagine you are the last person on Earth. No more friendly faces, no more shared smiles, no more words of encouragement or comfort. The absence of human connection, of community, becomes a stark reality. Suddenly, the quiet is not peaceful but isolating. The solitude is not liberating but lonely. The freedom is not empowering but terrifying. The human connection is more than just a social construct. It is an inherent part of our nature, our biology, our psychology. We are wired to connect, to belong, to love and be loved. Our brains are designed to respond to touch, to recognize faces, to interpret emotions. Our hearts are designed to feel, to empathize, to care. Without these connections, these interactions, we are not truly living. We are merely surviving. Being the last person on Earth might seem exciting at first. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, without any constraints or responsibilities. But this freedom comes at a cost. The cost of connection, of community, of shared experiences and shared emotions. The importance of human connection cannot be overstated. It is what gives our lives meaning and purpose. It is what brings joy and happiness, sorrow and pain, love and loss. It is what makes us human. It is what makes life worth living. In a world without others, we are forced to confront our inherent need for connection. We are reminded of the value of community, of shared experiences, of love and companionship. We are reminded of what it truly means to be human. So, while being the last person on Earth might seem like an adventure, it is the connections we share with others that truly define our human experience.